Allison Calloway and her 9-year-old little girl, Emily Calloway, are playing in a recreation area together. Allison's significant other and analyst, Dr. Gus David Calloway, is there as well. He watches them play. Around evening time, Allison and Emily play a round of Find the Stowaway, after which Allison tucks Emily to bed. Allison is by all accounts stressed over something. David gets some information about it, yet she excuses it. Allison then, at that point, goes to scrub down. In any case, around 2 a.m., David awakens to see Allison still not in bed. He goes to really look at the restroom, where he is panicked to see Allison sitting on a bloody tub. She had ended it all by slitting her wrist. Emily remains in the entryway as she watches David embracing Allison's body and crying. Sliced to a couple of days after the fact, Emily is in a kid's clinic and appears to be discouraged. David converses with his associate and old buddy, Dr. Catherine Carson, and concludes that it would be ideal assuming he and Emily moved to the field for quite a while. Catherine is near Emily too. She embraces Emily and wishes her farewell, and they leave. Emily carries her feline with her to the new spot. David and Emily are at last at their new home. It lies in a space encompassed by woods and is exceptionally calm. They are invited by a sheriff and the proprietor of the house. As they are glancing near, Emily vanishes. They find her close to the forest gazing at something. That evening, Emily eats nothing and demands dozing early. David attempts to encourage her, yet the young lady is damaged by her mom's demise. He then gives her a journal to record her sentiments, after which Emily wishes her one doll named Alex goodnight prior to nodding off. The next day, David is unpacking his effects in his review room when Emily goes into the forest following a butterfly. Eventually, she sees a cavern. When David begins searching for her, she is back. Be that as it may, her #1 toy doll, Alex, isn't. In no time, he and Emily pass on to get a few things done. As David is siphoning gas into his vehicle, he sees a lady playing with a touch of young lady. Believing that the young lady could become companions with Emily, he acquaints himself with them. The lady's name is Elizabeth Youthful. She appears to have enchanted David. He welcomes them to come over sometime in the not-so-distant future. That evening, while at the same time tucking Emily to rest, David gets some information about her doll Alex, to which she says that she could do without her any longer. She lets him know that she has supplanted Alex with her new companion named Charlie. At the point when David questions her further about Charlie, she says that he could do without being discussed. David calls Catherine to educate her regarding the occurrence. The two of them concur that Charlie is a fanciful companion Emily has made to adapt to her injury. The next day, David finds Alex in the container with her face misshaped. Later at supper, David attempts to converse with her about Charlie. Around then, she lets him know that Charlie is loads of tomfoolery like her mother used to be. That evening, he gets another bad dream. He has been getting a similar bad dream of the New Year's Eve party that happened the night prior to Allison's demise. The horrible awakens him precisely at the time he did when Allison passed on. He hears a commotion and goes to really take a look at in the restroom to see the words "You let her pass on." The bath is filled and Emily's colored pencil lay around. He pivots and sees Emily behind him. Yet, when gotten some information about it, Emily demands it was Charlie who got it done. It was Charlie. The next day, Elizabeth and her niece Amy come over. David acquaints Amy with Emily, yet she appears to have no response. As they play, Amy is anxious to become companions, so she hands her doll to Emily. In any case, when Emily returns it back, its face is contorted as was Alex's. Emily lets Amy know that she ought not be here. Feeling terrified, they leave before long. At the point when David gets some information about Amy, she answers she needn't bother with any new companions and that Charlie is sufficient. Afterward, Emily plays outside as David does the dishes. He sees a man sitting close to her, so he goes out to check and observes that the man is their neighbor Stephen. They have an off-kilter discussion, after which David cautions Emily not to converse with outsiders. Sliced to that evening, David hears Emily snicker. However, when he goes to beware of her, she is distant from everyone else. He inquires as to whether Charlie is here, yet Emily says that he just left through the window. David attempts to converse with her about Charlie, yet Emily uncovers that Charlie could do without David. David composes all of this in his diary subsequent to taking care of her. Afterward, we see Emily play Find the Stowaway with Charlie. She leaves her room and check out the house to search for him. She tracks down an entryway behind a storage room. It prompts a cellar first floor. She strolls there, actually searching for him, then out of nowhere the lights go off, and she shouts in dread. David rapidly comes to get her. She lets him know that Charlie was concealing in obscurity. The next day, Elizabeth comes over for supper. Emily doesn't appear to like her. Elizabeth attempts to have a discussion with Emily and gives her a few books to peruse. Nonetheless, Emily acts threatening towards her and drops every one of the books to the floor. Seeing this, David requests her to go to her room. Before long, Elizabeth leaves. That evening, David again awakens precisely at 2:06. There is a commotion coming from the washroom. He goes in to check and sees the words, "Currently look what you've done." The bath is loaded with messy water. As David goes in to deplete it, he feels something inside. The dead body of the feline lived with them. Enraged, David goes to Emily's room, yet Emily again demands that it was Charlie. Charlie did it. He then tidies up the wreck in the restroom. The next day, Emily shows David pictures she has drawn of Charlie and her mom. David attempts to tell her that Charlie isn't genuine, yet Emily continues to shout his name. That day, Catherine visits them. Catherine is David's old buddy who is exceptionally near Emily. Emily is extremely eager to meet her. She proposes David to take Emily back to New York. He tells her that he will think about it. After she is gone, David goes to Emily's room and sees that she has attracted photos of her mom committing suicide, the journal he had given her. Elizabeth comes over again that day. However, David doesn't hear her thumping, so she comes in and goes into Emily's room. She has come to set things right with Emily, yet Emily tells her that she is playing Find the Stowaway with Charlie and focuses at the storage room. As Elizabeth opens the storage room, she is gone after by somebody and tumbles down the windows. Following a couple of hours, a sheriff approaches, gets some information about Elizabeth. The sheriff illuminates David that he had found Elizabeth's vehicle crashed not too far off, and her niece let him know that she had come here. In any case, David doesn't know anything about the occurrence. The sheriff then, at that point, gets some information about her, yet she lies and lets him know that she hasn't seen her. After he is gone, David detects something wrong. He sees the window broken. Emily is crying insanely. She shows him the time. It is precisely 2:06 once more. David hurries to the washroom to see a few words composed on the shower drape. Might you at any point see now? He opens it and is panicked to see a dead Elizabeth lying in the tub. He surges back to a crying Emily, yet she actually demands that it was Charlie. She says she can't educate David anything regarding him. Then David secures her in the room and surges out. Not long after, we see somebody open the entryway for her. Emily then, at that point, calls Catherine to tell her she would rather not play with Charlie any longer. David then again chooses to dispose of Elizabeth's body. Be that as it may, when he goes into the restroom, the body is now gone. Emily says that Charlie just left with it. This has gone excessively far. David is currently irate, not set in stone, to figure out who Charlie truly is. He runs outside to look for him. Unexpectedly, his neighbor Stephen shows up behind him and requests to see Emily on the grounds that he has heard commotions from their home. David assaults him, expecting that this entire time he is Charlie. He surges back to his home and locks the entryways. He advises him to avoid his girl. Emily embraces him in dread and asks not to make her see Charlie once more. David then, at that point, strolls into his review room, where he is amazed to see that none of the containers have been opened since they moved here. Indeed, even the diaries are clear. He is in shock since he has been in the review composing his diary a few times after the move. Unexpectedly, all that returns to him. We see that the individual Emily met at the cavern that day was David. He understands that he has conflicting personality psychosis, and Charlie isn't non-existent in any way. Charlie is David himself. Whenever Charlie would arise, David would be in his review. He additionally at last reviews the New Year's Eve party the night prior to his significant other's passing. He had gotten Allison making out with another visitor. Charlie was made as a method for communicating David's fury so he could kill his better half, something the compliant David was too good to even consider doing. Emily knew the whole time about her dad's parted character, yet didn't tell him, since she was uncertain which character killed her mom until Charlie killed Elizabeth. Each opportunity Charlie arrives out, David remembers nothing. At the point when David comes to understand this, Charlie's character totally assumes control over him. He tells Emily that Daddy is no more. Fortunately, the neighbor has called the sheriff, who comes to keep an eye on David. He finds Emily in her room when the lights go off. The sheriff goes down the stairs to check. In any case, he is killed by Charlie. Charlie faculties that Emily could do without him any longer. He begins a round to find the stowaway and begins to count. Emily hurries to her room. All at once, Catherine shows up. As she drops down the cellar, Charlie shows up behind her and pushes her down. He locks her there, where she tracks down the sheriff's dead body. Emily then again locks herself inside her room. Charlie tears the entryway open, however Emily has previously escaped through the window and is taking off to the forest. She stows away. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe this channel, like and comment this video, and share with your friends. I'll see you in the next video.